companies agreed that if a company operated for the extended ferry boat season, they would only have to pay a 2% franchise fee in recognition of the fact that they were operating in those months that were not profitable. And ferry boat companies who chose to operate only during the tourist season, when it was profitable or very profitable to operate, would pay a 2.5% franchise fee. This year, there has not been any similar agreement reached among the ferry boat companies in the city, and therefore the ordinance is being amended to take out the ferry boat season, the regular ferry boat season, and the extended ferry boat season. Instead, there's just the ferry boat season, which extends for the entire period of time. And so we've added a definition to say what the ferry boat season is, and that's at the bottom of section 2. And it states that the ferry boat season means the period of time between when ice conditions permit ferry boat service to commence in any given calendar year, generally about March 15th, and when the ice conditions require the termination of ferry boat service, generally about January 15th of the following calendar year. So those are the changes in section 2. And when we finish all this, there are 3 or 4 additional changes that have been suggested to us that we'll discuss with the council. Section 3 is the declaration of purpose. Currently, in the first line it says the purpose of this article is to, and we're suggesting that article be deleted and ordinance be used. At different times in history, the document is referred to as an article or an ordinance, and we're suggesting it go back and be ordinance. In section 1, the word city has been capitalized because the city is a defined term. It means the city of Mackinac Island. And I should go back to the definition, section 2. We did make a change there. That before it said to and from the city means to and from the city. To make it clear, we are suggesting it read to and from the city of Mackinac Island means to and from the city of Mackinac Island. And then it continues. And so in section 1, where city is capitalized, it's to be consistent with that, so that it's clear when we are speaking of a city in the ordinance, we're talking about the city of Mackinac Island. We've added section 5, or part 5 to section 3 under declaration of purpose. Item number 5 provides that one of the purposes of the ordinance is to provide for the payment of franchise fees to the city. Section 4 deals with violations and penalties. In subpart A, we are suggesting that the word or ferry boat company be added so that it will now read any person or ferry boat company violating any provision of this ordinance shall upon conviction thereof be guilty of a misdemeanor. Each day of a violation of this ordinance shall constitute a separate violation. So that is very consistent with what's in the book right now. It's just a wording change to change offense to violation and changing the word article to ordinance. And as I say, we've added or ferry boat company to the list of persons or companies that can be guilty of a violation. When we were last before the council, we talked about the concept of possibly going to a civil infraction instead of a misdemeanor violation, and we decided to stay with the concept that was written in the ordinance since the very beginning. For the past 25 plus years, a violation has been a misdemeanor, and so we believe that we should leave that language instead of going to a civil infraction. Part B of section 4 is new, and it provides that in addition to prosecuting a misdemeanor, or as an alternative to prosecuting a misdemeanor, the city may pursue revocation of the franchise of the violating person or ferry boat company as provided in section 15. The purpose of that is to give the city one more tool, that instead of prosecuting for a misdemeanor, the city could terminate a franchise, or the city could do both, prosecute a violation of the ordinance as a misdemeanor and terminate a franchise. Subpart C of section 4 is also new, and that provides as follows: in addition to prosecuting a misdemeanor, or as an alternative to prosecuting a misdemeanor, the city may file a civil suit in seeking injunctive relief pursuant to Section 5. The reason for this addition is to give the city one more tool. If there's a violation, the city would then have 3 alternatives. It could prosecute as a misdemeanor. It could terminate a franchise, or it could file a civil lawsuit and seek an injunction from the court to compel compliance with the ordinance, or to stop some act that's violating the ordinance. Section 5, injunctive relief, is new, and this is to carry out the idea of injunctive relief that we just discussed in Section 4. Section 5 provides a violation of any provision of this ordinance by any person or ferryboat company is deemed to be a nuisance per se, causing irreparable harm, and shall constitute grounds for injunctive relief. The reason that language is in there is to make it clear that the city has the power to file a civil suit for injunctive relief if the city chooses to pursue that. Section 6 does not change from the existing ordinance. Section 7 does change, and that was Section 6 before the renumbering. It's now 7. And it provides, as a condition of obtaining a franchise to operate a ferryboat service, a ferryboat company must agree to provide at least a minimum schedule of services which shall be determined by the City Council annually. Before the change, that said, as a condition of obtaining a franchise to operate a ferryboat service either during the regular ferryboat season or the extended ferryboat season. We've taken that language out about a regular ferryboat season or extended ferryboat season because that's been deleted from the ordinance. We now have just one season. So taking that language out, it will now read as a condition of obtaining a franchise to operate a ferryboat service. A ferryboat company must, and then these words are new, agree to provide at least a minimum schedule of services which shall be determined by the City Council annually. Some weeks ago, the City Council determined that it would require minimal services from the ferryboat companies. That is, they would have to operate for a certain period of time during the year, and they'd have to operate during certain hours during the season. And in between that time, the ferryboat companies could determine their own schedules and submit the schedules to the city for approval. So this is to carry out that idea that as a condition of obtaining a franchise, at least a minimal level of service has to be provided. Section B of 7 is new, and that provides on or before February 1st of each calendar year, a ferryboat company must file its proposed schedule of services with the City Council. C has new language that provides a ferryboat company granted a franchise must provide ferryboat service during the entire ferryboat season. That's new language. And then it continues with language that's in the existing franchise, or existing ordinance, which says, and must operate in accordance with the schedule of services as is on file with the council. The provided, however, language is in the existing ordinance. Subpart 1 under that, the existing ordinance says nothing in this article shall be interpreted as limiting a ferryboat company. We've changed article to ordinance again to be consistent. And so continuing from offering ferryboat service in addition to the service contained in its filed schedule of services. Item 2 under there has been struck. The existing ordinance says prior to the commencement of any regular ferryboat season, the council may grant a ferryboat company permission to commence ferryboat service either before or after April 30th, and permission to terminate service either before or after October 31. That's been struck. Paragraph 2 under that section read before, ferryboat company providing service during the extended ferryboat season. Again, we've taken out the providing service during the extended ferryboat season because there is no such season. So we'll now read, a ferryboat company is not obligated to provide service on any day when, in the good faith judgment of the ferryboat company, it would be unsafe to provide service because of the weather. And And then we continue, this is a new sentence. All ferry boat companies are required to have adequate boats and equipment to operate during the entire ferry boat season. 3 is new. It reads, a ferry boat company may at any time apply to the City Council for permission to change its filed schedule of services. So if I digress for a second, so the ferry boat companies will file their schedule of services with the city at the beginning of the season. The city will approve those. And then if a ferry boat company needs to change the schedule during the season, they can apply to the council for permission to change the schedule. Section 8, safety regulations, reporting requirement. That's the same as it was before. The section number is just changed. Section 9, filing requirements, has new language. Paragraph A provides now, and this is new language, on or before February 1st of each year, a ferry boat company shall file with the council, in such form as the council shall prescribe, its complete schedule of rates, fares, and charges for all classes or types of passenger tickets for the next ferry boat season. Upon approval of such schedule by the City Council, said approved schedule shall remain in effect for the entire next ferry boat season, unless amended by the City Council. At any time after approval of a schedule of rates, fares, and charges, a ferry boat company must submit a written request to the council to raise or lower any class or type of passenger rates, fares, or charges that was previously approved. The council shall consider and act upon such request within 30 days after receipt thereof. So again, if I can digress for a second, that means that the ferry boat companies will file their schedule of rates with the City Council, obtain the council's approval, and then those rates will remain in effect until such time as the ferry boat company applies to the city for a change. Paragraph B is new. It provides no ferry boat company shall provide free service for passengers except for employees of the ferry boat company, owners of the ferry boat company, and non-profit tax-exempt organizations, including but not limited to schools. Days when no passengers are charged a fare shall be allowed with the prior approval of the City Council. C is new. No ferry boat company shall make any charge for passenger tickets that is inconsistent with its complete schedule of rates, fares, and charges for all classes or types of passenger tickets that are on file with the city at the time of the charge. D is basically the same as it is in the existing franchise. There were just a couple of words, the word of and or, have been changed. Other than that, that's the language that's in the existing franchise. And then below that, there's a strikeout of a paragraph that was in the old ordinance dealing with the Interstate Commerce Commission or the State Public Service Commission. That paragraph has been deleted. Division 2, franchises. Section 10, subpart A is new language. It provides the City Council may grant a franchise to operate a ferry boat service. And if I can digress, if you recall earlier, we had language similar to that when it talked about the ferry boat company may apply for a franchise for either the regular ferry boat season or the extended ferry boat season. Again, since we don't have 2 seasons any longer,